Let's record. Pause the music. So yeah, we got a recording for YouTube. We'll have the VOD up if you want to show some support. Follow would be very generous and very much appreciated. But on to this match. Let's check to see if everybody is good. I know that was a stumper of a question. All right, we are ready to tune into this one. Serenyx League 3v3 of the Contender division. And we already got a quick score from Bolts over on Soul Thieves. Not wasting too much time. What a shot. It's the flip and extra touch. But as we were saying, this is the Contender division. It is 1315 to 1574. And we've made it to week number 4. We got an undefeated team in Spartan Storm versus Soul Thieves, who are 3-1. Although, you're never sure how that one defeat goes, whether it was a forfeit or whatnot. But so far, Soul Thieves looking strong, have a 1-goal lead. And that's an awkward ball. Gravy Monster gonna get to it. And that's in front of net. A lot of space in between. Gravy blasting it down. Almost has the extra touch, and that's another strong touch too high. And perhaps a missed opportunity for Spartan Storm to tie it up. But here they come, and some bumping happening. But Soul Thieves, they're able to recover. And Boss, he gets a touch. That's gonna come to mid. And an awkward touch from Gravy. Probably wants that one back. Bolts able to get the flick, but a little bit shaky on defense. Spartan Storm. Gravy, good control, blast it. An even better save from Dreaming Nerd. And it almost looked like momentum was shifting to tie it up. But double commit. Bolts can't get a touch. Continuing on. And that's a 50. Almost off the backboard. But now Bolts can control and go for the demo. Nice shot from Slez. Although that feels weird. We know him as Sleazy. We're going to call him Sleazy. But Muffin, aka Boss, in a rough spot. He does make the most of it on defense, surviving that, but still only a 1-score difference. Gravy challenging. That's going to be wide. He can take that boost in the corner, but us in an awkward spot. Initial touch. That's going to be kicked out by Gravy Monster. And still looking for their first score. That's a little bit low, but almost a follow-up. Now Bolts, who's shown good control, wants to make the most of a possession. We also see some bump attempts as well. Gravy up. And that's going to be tough to work with. Sleazy able to push it forward. But all the way back. Gotta reset yet again. They're looking for that tying score. Can they get it? Gravy challenging in the corner. Dreaming Nerd gets it by. And what a pinch. Going to the other side. That bot got deleted and Gravy able to catch at the end there. But holding on to that 1-goal lead, Soul Thieves. Could it end with just 1 goal? A slight touch back and forth. High. And some demos coming out as well. Gravy trying to turn on this. Well, Boss using the wall. Sleazy ventures through. And they're close, knocking on the door, but numbers for Soul Thieves. They're recovering. They're in position. And holding tough on this defensive end. 8 seconds left. High touch. That's dropped down to Sleazy, who gets deleted. And Gravy able to get a pop. Well, that is going to go down. Soul Thieves take the first game on a low-scoring affair. 1 goal, and it was a special goal at that, but they stuck with it and held on. Whoa, I don't want don't want that map. Alright. We're gonna remake it. Let's see. Alright, into game 2 on Forbidden Temple. And we're gonna see how this one transpires. Soul Thieves take the first game. But Spartan Storm trying to get on the board as well as tie up the series. Oh God, gets a touch. It's gonna bounce around. Boss, initial touch. And that's blasted over. Gravy dropping it down. And that's a big touch going back. And Bot got able to get it through. And when we look back, that double commit, a little bit costly. And tough as third man. Had to make a choice. Bolts dropping it down. Now Boss all the way down to Gravy, who almost has a touch. And he's there again. Somehow Bolt's able to get that block. Bolt's pops it up. Boss, initial touch. Now back to Gravy, who's on the backboard, has to control. Does a good job. Gets a little help. But now stuck in an awkward spot. Big demo from Sleazy. Eliminating Bolts. That is their front man to set something up, but big 50 almost going through. Now Bolts on the side, trapping. And Boss a little bit awkward. Does have Gravy to challenge. And Spartan Storm are still looking upon seeing if they could get their first goal here. Lazy wasn't quite expecting to be able to follow so quickly. There's no touch given and a risky back pass. Bot God. He's trying to feed it mid. Aiming Nerd. Does not have another. Now Gravy coming through. But we are at halftime. Another one score affair. Gravy can't continue on. All right, that's going to be blasted a little bit too high. Maybe trying to keep it in play. Sleazy. Good touch, keeping it in the corner. Gravy coming through. And Boss taking his time, trying to dribble, trying to move that boat of a car. Almost finds the gap. Gravy can't get it in there. And as we watch upon that defense of Soul Thieves, they're just comfortable back on defense. And Spartan Storm can't find an opening. Gravy moving forward. That's in front of net. But Boss by one, but gets cut off, and Bot got in a good spot. Almost puts it through on a simple touch. Gravy weaving through, but it's running out of steam. And there's Bolts. It's 50'd out. And what a touch. Bolts getting it out. Under 30 seconds, do we have another one goal winner here? And also Spartan Storm limiting Bolts in this one. And finally Gravy Monster has the tying goal. We are tied 1 apiece. 18 seconds, maybe OT. Boss going to the ceiling, trying to get the block. Bot God keeping it wide. Sleaze a little bit awkward, and they almost set it up for the mid, but that's a heck of a pinch. It might just end there, and Sleazy able to come from the top. And OT, that's gonna bounce around. Bolts gets a touch to the side. Sleazy moving forward, might try to center this mid. A nice pop from Gravy, but too much separation means easy challenge. And Sleazy to himself, bouncing around, almost has the opening. Boss quick gets the 50. 50'd up, and Sleaze a tough draw over there. Kind of acting as third. That is a tough task. Gotta keep the pressure, but not give up a goal. And Bot God almost peaks there. Midfield, a battle. That's tough to work with, Sleazy. Going high, Bot God. What a 50, and no one to follow through. Bot God is just asking for a clip here. That's Sleazy, no boost, trying to move it on. And dropping down. Gravy trying to get there. Sleazy in a tough spot. But they got a little bit of time. No follow through. Bolts almost has that lined up. You can see ready to strike. Demo in the backfield. Will that loosen up that offensive attack? Sleazy popping it. And Boss, an unfortunate touch. And Sleazy taking time. That is something that plagues Soul Thieves. They've had opportunities if they could follow up quickly, but there's no follow-up. Allows Spartan Storm to recover, reset. But 2 minutes into OT, Gravy, too strong of a shot. That's going to be tough to track down from the side. But Demo coming out. Boss, who's shown control. That's a big clear. And tough to not make a mistake here. You don't want to make a mistake in your own half, as that will end things. Big 50. And Sleazy comes down with it. But they're playing close together. It might be a problem. Gravy moving it on. And Boss gonna be tested on defense. Low boost, making the most of it. Gravy coming through just in time, as Sleazy had low boost. But dropped in front of net. Almost the chance for Spartan Storm. Boss backwards. It's gonna spell trouble. It's bumped off of it. That's possession given up, but too low. Dreaming is there. Good cutout by Sleazy, and they're inching. They're close, but Gravy can't get a touch there. And all of them in front of net. That's something we also talked about. Limited on demos, so Soul Thieves are more than comfortable on defense. But can't get a touch there, and we're almost at a full game of OT. Bouncing around, and no one able to follow through. That was a tough one to touch. Bot God. And that's dropped down. Could spell trouble, but not strong enough. Gravy can't get the touch, and nobody can get the touch right now. Bolts trying to carry it on. Bot God, who's got 9 shots. Certainly plethora of offense. Gravy, what a block, but quick follow through. Now Sleazy gonna control. He absorbs the 50. 2 of them go, and now Muffin, Boss, and Awkward. Gravy just stopping in front. You have to take account. Is he gonna get a redirect? And it looks so close, and that millisecond will pause the defense. and virtually looking like he'd actually get a touch. Instead, he didn't. But that is OT game 2. What a match. Wonder if everyone's tired after that one. MJ, did your cat really die? That's heartbreaking if so, man. I've been there. I'm sorry to hear that, MJ. That sucks. And definitely sucks to go through. What a shot. Boss bar in. Maybe things have changed on their offensive end. Yeah, MJ. I feel for you. Really do. We love our pets, and it's tough when they go. Well, at least you kind of had knowing. I've been surprised, and that is not fun. Gravy with the catch and the flick, and now Spartan Storm cruising a bit here. They were struggling to score, and they finally had plenty of gameplay to work through it. A lot of time in the OT, and now venturing through, and they got 3 quick ones. And starting to look scary. Spartan Storm had it all bottled up. Now it's unleashed. Although, that one's a little too high. Could have been another one. But if you're Soul Thieves, the good news, it's very early in the match, and they could almost get one. Gonna be denied, though. But there's another shot. And now Soul Thieves kind of waking up here. And get a goal here and there, but Gravy Monster continuing on, and that's a big goal. We saw momentum almost start to shift for Soul Thieves. And like I said, sometimes when a lot of goals are scored early on, a team might lose focus. You could come back. But now it's 4 up. Bolt's gonna be denied from Boss, and almost has that lined up. That corner is working well for Spartan Storm. But that's gonna be just wide, and Bolt's can't get the first goal for Soul Thieves. Although that one's ripped on, and Bakad credited with the goal, and they're finally on the board. But gotta say, the last minute or so, Soul Thieves have had plenty of offense, so if they could continue on that pace, they might have a chance to come back. But definitely a big hill to climb. Although Boss almost gives up possession right in front of net. Like we said, we've seen Boss opts to go for possession game, but sometimes you possess in front of your net, could be a problem. That's a good pass in midfield, just no one there. Gravy down, and one's gonna be cleared. Sleazy back. And wrong time to challenge. Bolt's capitalizing, and we're seeing a little bit of life for Soul Thieves. This is what happens. Score too much too early. And they still got plenty of time left to play. I mean, if they get another, that's pure momentum. But then no one goes for that as they split apart. Bolts to the midfield. Oh, God. Can't get that one, but Bolts almost has a chance. But he's going to let that one fall. Ravy can't get a touch there. Now Bolts gonna try and do their thing. But gonna fizzle out yet again. Now Sleazy trying to get that 50, but ran out of time. And a little team bump in there. We saw that. But that's an awkward ball, or is it? Luckily, Sleazy has the clear. And Dreaming Nerd trying to move it on. And that's going to be backboard. Botgod gets initial touch. And that's 50 in front. Dreaming trying to clear it to Botgod. Causing 2, and now Bolts, no boost, rough spot. Ravy, missed opportunity, but Sleazy is there, and like we pointed out, the boost dominance over there. Bolts on a rough spot, no boost as it's coming back. And that was just a pure case of offensive pressure with boost superiority. That one's almost going through. 5-2. Bolts trying to get a long one. Awkward miscue. What a pinch. That's going to hang in front of net. That's Sleazy. He's taking command with the control. Botgod beats out, and once again, they are winning those 50 battles or those challenge battles with third man. But 5-3. If Soul Thieves could get a quick kickoff goal, but that does not seem to be happening. More time ticking away. Now, barring some quick mistakes. It should be Spartan Storm taking this one. Yeah, I'm casting right before the match. Yeah, that's how it goes. Who needs a warm-up? I'm just the sub here. Oh my god, that bounces around. But Spartan Storm had an early start, kind of fizzled, but hung on, and they take the victory. Now they're up 2-1. All right, we're going to game 4. If I can find it. All right, there we go. You might have to refresh. On my end, the title is correct. And what a start to game 4. That is how you start right. Dreaming Nerd gets the double. Alright, good to know, Belb. Sometimes it messes up, though. Sometimes I swear I save it, and it doesn't update. sometimes there's a problem and it fails. So I'd rather someone mention it and make sure. Sleazy might add an open net. That's going to be wide though. And Bolts gets it by. And Soul Thieves definitely waking up in this one. They have of similar nature the previous game. Just roles reversed. They're coming out swinging. A lot of offense on their end. And we might have a game 5 at this rate. Gravy. Can't get the extra touch. Let's bounce around. Boss gonna try and track this down. Gets lost around. Gravy by 1. That's midfield, but caught up by Bolts, who shown good control and given another opportunity. Yeah, I don't want Bolts to take control. One-on-one situation. Taking full advantage. But 3 up for Soul Thieves. Might add another big beat. And Bolts trying to lock that 4th goal in. Might just do that. Well, that's going to bounce just shy. There was an opportunity there. But these games have been crazy. I mean, just the previous one, Spartan Storm well in command, and now we see Soul Thieves well in command, so really is a toss-up who's gonna take this series. And that's on target, but nice save. Boss is there. But Bolts has 5 shots and 2 goals in this one. And definitely not going to be a good time letting Soul Thieves offensive leader have his day. Still can't find the crack, but Bot God has the redirect, and everything's working for Soul Thieves. And just when they need it too. They are trying to bring it to game 5. Looking good so far. Oh, add another. What a shot. Too strong. And Bolt's cutting that one off and applying the offense. Now, Soul Thieves up by 5, and Spartan Storm, they had some droughts of offense. This one continues, and a rough spot too. Not able to get any scoring going. Didn't have much time to get it going either, with how much pressure has been created. But down to 1 minute left remaining. Gravy, high ball, too strong. No one could get a touch. Sleazy there. And can't follow through. And something Soul Thieves doing so well. Indifference. Those possession games. They are maintaining good possession. This one always almost falls through from a good 50. And that demo actually prevents another goal going through. 5 seconds left. Last ditch effort. And now to the drawing board. We got game 5 coming up. Spartan Storm, Soul Thieves. Who takes it? We've seen both teams shine in different points. But Champions Field, double check, make sure it's good. It is the most important map. I was about to say, bruh. But game 5 is here. Champions Field is also here. And comes down to this last one, and Gravy gonna start the scoring early. They'll gladly take it after being shut out the previous one. But a little miscue there. And Spartan Storm able to capitalize. But just goes to show you how consistency is tough and games could be vastly different. And that's gonna bounce out. Sleazy on the back end. It's creeping up, gets the touch. Loss. That's gonna be a light touch. Now, a lot of demos coming out too. Bot God pops it up. A big bump on Bolts, who might have had that one lined up, but in front of net, a little too much space for Soul Thieves, as they're not able to follow that one. Now, Loss taking control, gets bumped off, or so you thought, from his own teammate. That's too much. Can't work with that one. Now Gravy coming through, waiting for a mistake, but dreaming. He's on the backboard. And Bot God, nice touch. That's dropped down, almost working beautifully, but not gonna fall into a goal. Bot God wants some more. Sleazy not taking any chances, sends it on the challenge, and why not when you have teammates everywhere? But what a recovery from Gravy Monster. You'd see him turn his car to the right angle, and he actually gets bumped, but using that flip. And good awareness from Gravy. That's gonna pinch out. Gravy by one. And can he get another? No, he can't. Gravy almost getting that bump. That would have opened things up, but Boss has to get back. He does. 3 minutes to go. Oh, Gravy is there. That's Sleazy. That's dropped down. Off. Down. And Gravy can't continue on, but Sleazy almost actually has a touch. And a little miscue. Right there, you see Gravy challenging, heading back. That one should have been left for Boss. And almost caused some problems there. And a double commit, but they're in net, not ready. And Spartan Storm, a little bit awkward here. And they gotta lock in here. Spartan Storm, they're up by 2, now down by 1, but they have those moments of miscues, and there's another. And now tied up 2 apiece. And they gotta stop shooting themselves in the foot. But Soul Thieves, they're taking full advantage. They tie it up. Especially a game they were down by 2 in Champions Field, on Champions Field in Game 5. And now Spartan Storm lose a little momentum, and they get it back. Dreaming to Bolt, who pops it high. And 2 people going for it, but Dreaming Nerd able to get a touch there. Sleazy can get a touch as he steals boost. That's a good play, and going for bumps, but it's going to leave a big task for the third man. And that's the risk you take. Pushed up too much for a demo. Gravy gonna be denied. Bot God has that one cleared. And another double commit. Boss almost getting that redirect, and we're coming down to the wire here. 2-2. Bot God gonna sneak through. You gotta be careful. You see that player floating. And tactical fake. And that's a lane cleared in the midfield. But now lose a bit of their lead here. Boss on target, but Dreaming is there. And once again, they gotta clear that way on defense. Gravy midfield, that's gonna be denied. And Sleazy coming through. Do we have a tie shot? We do. Boss maintaining pressure. And 3-3. And if you're just tuning in, there was an OT earlier in the series that went basically 5 minutes. So, question is if we're going to have another of those, or does it end before OT? But Dreaming, gonna make things awkward. Boss, big clear. Bot God is there, gonna get a touch. Gravy is. And Boss, a little bit awkward there. That's pinched out to the side. Gravy trying to catch it. Midfield could be a last shot. Sleazy rips it on. What a shot. And that's the moment of truth. You see it bounce around. No one's able to get there. And midfield, it's up for grabs. And 5 seconds. We're looking at this kickoff. Soul Thieves, what do you got in store? And it's just a 4-player commit. But Bolts pops it up. And that's going to be dropped down. What a finale. That is quite the series and quite the ending. Big shout out to Soul Thieves and their appreciation. Always could use the support, and it makes it that much better. But good sportsmanship out of Soul Thieves. But if you chose Spartan Storm, you are correct. So congrats to Spartan Storm taking the victory in the end. But it went the full 5 games. And that is gonna do it. Nobody predicts yet. Well, fair enough. That's how it goes. But yeah, anybody who watched, tuned in, alerts, chatted, all that good stuff, thank you so much. Anybody who follow on YouTube, you're a legend. But we will have that posted later. But we do not have much time. So we gotta go play a match real quick. But yeah, that's gonna do it for this recording. So if you want to watch it back, it'll be uploaded later on YouTube. Thanks again.